Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is FixerMed. Welcome back to my high yield anatomy review series for the USMLE Step 1, NBME CBSE, and NBME CAS examinations. This will be part 17 of my multi-part video series providing a broad overview of the discipline of anatomy for these exams. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on today's content. I like to open up today by talking about the right coronary artery. The right coronary artery provides significant blood supply to the regions of the right atrium and the right ventricle. Additionally, the right coronary artery forms connections with the marginal branch of the left coronary artery towards the rear. The branches include the anterior cardiac branches, which provide blood to the right atrium, the nodal branch, which supplies the SA and AV nodes, marginal artery, which delivers blood to the right ventricle, and the posterior interventricular artery, which provides blood to the inferior surface of both ventricles and the posterior one-third of the interventricular septum. Let's go ahead and move on to the next concept. Next, I want to talk about the left coronary artery. The branches of the left coronary artery include the anterior interventricular artery that travels down the anterior interventricular sulcus and gives off branches to the anterior wall of the heart, the anterior two-thirds of the interventricular septum, the bundle of His, and the apex of the heart. The circumflex artery is another branch of the left coronary artery, courses along the left margin of the heart within the atrioventricular groove, forming an anastomosis with the right coronary artery towards the back. It provides blood to the left atrium and left ventricle. Let's go ahead and move on. Next, we're going to talk about blood supply of the conducting system. Just going to give a broad overview. The SA node, mainly supplied by the right coronary artery. AV node, right coronary artery as well. The AV bundle and moderator band is supplied by the left coronary artery. A lot of this stuff just comes down to memorization, so if you want to take notes on the material, feel free to do so, revise it over and over again with flashcards, etc. But we do have questions to go over, so let's go ahead and get to the questions. Which artery primarily supplies the right atrium and right ventricle, and anastomosis with the marginal branch of the left coronary artery? All right, I think I gave you guys enough time here. Gonna move on now. But before I move on, I also want to define what an anastomosis is. Anastomosis is where a backup pathway is basically created in case blood flow gets interrupted or clogged or in an artery or a vein. So I hope that helps you guys out with your understanding. But moving on to the answer now. The right coronary artery primarily supplies blood to the right atrium and right ventricle and forms an anastomosis with the marginal branch of the left coronary artery, contributing to collateral circulation. This artery's branches, including the anterior cardiac branches and the marginal artery, support these regions' blood supply. Therefore, the correct answer is B, right coronary artery. Let's go and see why the other answer choices are incorrect. Left anterior descending artery supplies the anterior wall of the left ventricle and is not primarily responsible for supplying the right atrium and right ventricle. Circumflex artery primarily supplies the left atrium and lateral wall of the left ventricle and does not play a significant role in supplying the right atrium and right ventricle. Posterior interventricular artery mainly supplies the posterior 1/3 of the interventricular septum and the posterior surface of the left ventricle, not the right atrium and right ventricle. The anterior interventricular artery, also known as the left anterior descending artery, primarily supplies the anterior surface of the left ventricle and does not contribute to the blood supply of the right atrium and right ventricle. The marginal artery, while it anastomoses with the right coronary artery and contributes to collateral circulation, does not primarily supply the right atrium and right ventricle. Instead, it supplies the right ventricle. Let's go ahead and move on to the next set of questions. Which artery descends in the anterior interventricular sulcus and provides branches to the anterior wall of the heart, the anterior 2/3 of the interventricular septum, the bundle of His, and the apex of the heart? All right, I think I gave you guys enough time here. If you need more time, please feel free to pause the video. Otherwise, moving on now. The left anterior descending artery descends in the anterior interventricular sulcus and provides branches to the specified regions, including the anterior wall of the heart, the anterior 2/3 of the interventricular septum, the bundle of His, and the apex of the heart, thus playing a crucial role in the blood supply to the left ventricle and septum. Therefore, the correct answer is A, left anterior descending artery. Let's go ahead and see why the other answer choices are incorrect. Right coronary artery primarily supplies the right atrium and right ventricle and does not descend in the anterior interventricular sulcus or provide branches to the left ventricle. Circumflex artery winds around the left margin of the heart and supplies the left atrium and left ventricle, but does not descend in the anterior interventricular sulcus. Posterior interventricular artery supplies the posterior 1/3 of the interventricular septum and the posterior surface of both ventricles, but does not descend in the anterior interventricular sulcus or provide branches to the anterior wall of the heart. The marginal artery supplies the right ventricle and does not descend in the anterior interventricular sulcus or provide branches to the left ventricle. Anterior interventricular vein drains blood from the anterior surface of the heart and does not provide branches to the specified regions mentioned in the question stem. Let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Which artery provides blood supply to specific components of the cardiac conducting system? And the hint here, cardiac conducting system, think about the SA and AV node. All right, I think I gave you guys enough time here. If you need more time, please feel free to pause the video. Otherwise, moving on now. The right coronary artery supplies blood to the SA node and the AV node, SA also known as sinoatrial, AV known as atrioventricular. These are crucial components of the cardiac conducting system. Additionally, the AV bundle, including the moderator band, is supplied by the left coronary artery. This arrangement ensures proper functioning of the electrical conduction system of the heart. Therefore, the correct answer is A, right coronary artery, RCA. Let's go ahead and see why the other answer choices are incorrect. The left anterior descending artery, LAD, primarily supplies the anterior wall of the left ventricle and is not directly involved in supplying the specific components of the conducting system mentioned. Circumflex artery primarily supplies the left atrium and left ventricle and does not directly supply the SA node, AV node, or the AV bundle. The left coronary artery is involved in supplying the AV bundle, including the moderator band, but is not mentioned as the primary supplier for the SA and AV nodes. Posterior interventricular artery mainly supplies the posterior 1/3 of the interventricular septum and the posterior surface of both ventricles, and it does not directly supply the specific components of the conducting system mentioned. Marginal artery primarily supplies the right ventricle and does not directly supply the SA node, AV node, or AV bundle. That will do it all for this video, guys. We'll be going into more detail about all this in the high yield cardio review series. So if you want to tune into that, I'll be making that in the near future. So be sure to like and subscribe to the video for more content like this and for the cardio high yield review series. And yeah, that's all I have for this video, guys. This is FixerMed signing off. Be sure to have a great day. Good luck studying and goodbye. And before I log off, I forgot to say this, but if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Goodbye, everyone.